All right. Oh. Okay. Alyssa, this is really testing. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to have to hold this thing a little closer. So before we get started, I'd like the medallion recipients, if you can, to come a little bit closer to the stage, to sit a little closer if possible. Okay, we're going to officially get started. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Better. Thank you. Welcome to the 26th Annual GPSA Research Forum. My name is Alyssa Crittenden. I'm the Vice Provost for Graduate Education and the Dean of the Graduate College, and I am delighted to welcome you here today. Before we get started, I'd like to do a land acknowledgement. The University of Nevada, Las Vegas wishes to acknowledge and honor the indigenous communities of this region and recognize that the university is situated on the traditional homelands of the Nuwu Southern Paiute people. We offer gratitude for the land itself, for those who have stewarded it for generations, and for the opportunity to study, learn, work, and be in community with this land. We encourage everyone in this space to engage in continued learning about the indigenous peoples who work and live on this land, including the Las Vegas Paiute tribe and the Moapa Band of Paiutes. As one of the most diverse universities in the United States, UNLV believes it is important to recognize and appreciate the use of Southern Paiute land as part of its mission to be a welcoming and inclusive place for working and learning. This morning, we will kick off the GPSA Research Forum in a new way. We will be holding our 9th annual Inspiration, Innovation, and Impact celebration of graduate student research, which historically has been done the night before. But last night, we had the amazing opportunity to view and celebrate the research of our postdoctoral scholars here at UNLV and at the Desert Research Institute. So for those of you who were here last night and who judged, thank you so much for your contribution and your support of our postdocs. Today, it is all about our graduate and professional students. Today, we are here for all of you. And we are starting this off with a series of talks. This morning's graduate student presenters have practiced, received coaching, and honed their talks in order to share their inspiring research with all of you and begin today's celebration of UNLV's graduate student research. Our 3 select students come from very different disciplines and are making an impact in the UNLV community and beyond. We are thrilled to honor these talented students and have them showcase their incredible work. At UNLV, we have more than 175 graduate programs, but all of our faculty and students have one common goal, and it is to solve complex problems that address individual, regional, national, and global challenges. The work of our featured speakers aims to address problems related to environmental health, highly mobile students, and developmental epilepsy. Their work will inspire you, and it promises to make our collective future bright. After the presentations, we will take a few moments to recognize the Graduate College's Distinguished Service and Grad Medallion Award recipients. Then we'll move into this year's Research Forum poster and podium presentations, and then we'll come back together for lunch. So please enjoy breakfast and coffee, settle in, and enjoy the presentations. All right, now that we've done our housekeeping, who is ready to hear about the outstanding research that is happening here at UNLV? Okay, that's pretty good for 8:45. I feel like, okay, so more coffee when you cheer on these folks. All right, our very first speaker is April Contreras. April, come on up. April is a PhD student in the Interdisciplinary Neuroscience program. She's a coordinator of the Heinz Group STEM Outreach program, has served as an OUMP mentor, and founded the UNLV Mountain Club. April's presentation is titled Stopping the Wildfire, a Novel Therapy for Developmental Epilepsy. All right. Okay, I'm putting this in here, and if it gets weird, just grab it out and hold it. But I think just put it where you need to. All right. Thank you.
All right. Hello? Maybe I'll grab it. Nope, it's going to stay. You can hear me? Yep. Great. All right. It's July 2023, and the York wildfire is raging through the Mojave National Preserve. And we might not know how it started, but once it sparked, it was uncontrollable, and it wreaked havoc on a delicate ecosystem of Joshua trees and yucca plants that the preserve aims to protect. And when a wildfire starts, a specialized team of firefighters called a hot shot crew is deployed, and their primary mission is to make sure that wildfires are put out as efficiently and safely as possible. And I don't study wildfires in the desert, but I study wildfires in a very different type of landscape. The brain. And the brain actually communicates by a delicate balance of excitatory and inhibitory signaling. And when this balance is disrupted, it can lead to a spark, a wildfire called a seizure. And when these seizures are persistent and recurrent, it can lead to a disorder called epilepsy. And I study epilepsies in infants and children. And neurodevelopmental epilepsy syndromes are actually difficult to treat because the compounds that we use to treat them, benzodiazepines, are harmful to the developing brain. And they can actually alter the way that genes and proteins are activated, which tell neurons, the brain cells, how to communicate and where to go. And this can have long-term consequences on how children learn, how they retain information, and their higher order cognition. A potential solution to this problem is an alternative therapy called cannabidiol, or CBD. And CBD is one of the many molecules in the cannabis plant. And you've probably heard of the THC, the psychoactive molecule in the brain which produces a high. But CBD is one of those molecules which is non-psychoactive, so there is no high. But unfortunately, CBD carries a lot of the stigma that the cannabis plant does in general, which has inspired scientists to look to novel therapies, including non-cannabis derived molecules. So what we did is we didn't even take a look at the cannabis plant. We looked at another plant called the caraway or fennel plant. And so we took seeds, extracted molecules, and made them look a lot like CBD, and maybe made some tweaks that made them a little bit better so that they could bind to different receptors in the brain. And this is as the added benefit of reducing stigma because it's not associated with the cannabis plant. And so while that's all fine and dandy, we wanted to know, could this compound be our hot shot crew? Can it change the wildfires, those seizures in the brain? And to do this, we read some brain waves. So we use a technique called electroencephalography, or EEG. And it's a really powerful tool that allows us to look at how those electrical signals in the brain communicate in real time. And we look at these signals in rodents. Mouse models are a powerful preclinical tool because they have a very genetic blueprint that's similar to ours, and we can design preclinical mouse models that replicate the symptoms of epilepsy so that we can test novel compounds to help save our children. And so the experiments that we ran included two groups. First, we separated a group of animals that were treated with water, and then a second group that was treated with our novel non-cannabis molecule. And then we sparked a seizure using a chemical called canic acid, and then we waited to see if the wildfires would start. And to our surprise, we found that compared to the water-treated group, animals that were pre-treated with this molecule had a delay in their onset of this wildfire, these seizures. And these seizures are actually very severe in neurodevelopmental epilepsy syndromes in children and are correlated with high mortality. So we wanted to know, could this new compound stop that wildfire before it wreaked havoc on the delicate ecosystem of the brain? And to our surprise, it did. So compared to the vehicle-treated animals in gray, the mortality of our pre-treated animals with our cannabidiol congener showed that seizure mortality was massively reduced, stopping that wildfire before it could wreak true havoc. And so in summary, these non-cannabis-derived cannabidiol congeners are going to be laying the foundation for the development of novel therapies that can help attenuate and treat neurodevelopmental epilepsy syndromes, providing hope for a recovering landscape. And with that, I'd like to thank the Hines Group Labs, in particular, Drs. Rochelle and Dustin Hines, Adriana Carrillo, who's an awesome undergraduate who has helped a lot with this project, and our collaborators and funding. Thank you.
Thank you, April. That was fantastic. The grad students know this, but I suppose I should say this for everyone else in the room. This is my favorite part of my job, when I actually get to be with the grad students and to be part of the work that they're doing and learn about it. And it has been my honor to watch the students work on this, kind of perfecting these talks over the last few weeks. So I love this event. So thank you, April, for kicking us off. Our next speaker is Gobson Baguma, a second-year master's student in civil and environmental engineering with a focus on water and wastewater treatment. Gobson aims to continue his research by moving into a doctoral program. His presentation title is Quest for Clean Water, Battling Toxic Byproducts. Please welcome Gobson to the stage.
Thank you so much. Imagine a world where the water we need is plentiful, but this water is contaminated and we cannot drink it. That's a reality to millions, including my homeland, Uganda, where I come from. We receive rainfall all the year, but this water is plenty, but we cannot drink it because it's contaminated. And around 85% of Ugandans lack access to this clean water. So this tells us that water scarcity isn't just a local issue, but a global issue. And according to the research that has done by the Water Institute in the year 2013, it tells us that around 700 million people could be displaced due to the scarcity of water. So it tells us that this does not only stop on displacing people, but it can also cause diseases. And UNICEF has estimated that around 3,000 children could be dying from water-related issues. The problems for water scarcity are staggering, and we can see that it perpetuates poverty, whereby around 2 million people live below a $2 per day. And we can see that we lose lives, around 17 children die every day, and we lose millions of tons of lives on oceans and also on land. So it's not late. We can save this. If we could provide this clean water, we can save lives. At least we can have food, and then we prevent the diseases that could be arising from this hunger. We can see that this water not only affects our lives, but it also affects these memes that bring humor into our lives. Imagine living a life without a beer. Or why would you even take a risk to live without a beer? So this all tells us that if we could save water, then someone could be having a beer. Or if you don't have someone, you tell them there's no water, they will be okay. But just tell them there's no coffee. At least everyone will be concerned with this. Transitioning from my country, coming to Las Vegas, heard of this news that Las Vegas went over 240 days without rain. This tells us the level of the problem that this water scarcity could be having. Imagine living without that. And when we look at the water levels of Lake Mead, which is the lifeline of people who are coming from Nevada and the Las Vegas area, we can see that the levels are going down, which tells us how huge all the insecurity of this water we are having in this place. And when we look at the pyramid, Nevada receives the least amount for those states which are getting water from the Colorado state, which tells us that the problem is further exacerbated by this water scarcity. So the one we have or the little we have shouldn't be contaminated. So it tells us how we should care for the water which we have so far. So in my research, I looked at these products which we commonly use in our homes, which are soaps, which are detergents that we use in our homes. And I imagine everyone who is seated here, perhaps you have used one of these commodities before you came in here. But a question I'm posing, did you ask yourself where they end up to? Which is, no one takes that time to even to care where these products end up to. But in this case, allow me show you where they end up to. So from our homes, from the country, companies that manufacture them, these go down sewer lines and then they go to the wastewater treatment plants. Whereby, in the literature, I saw that there are no better methods that can effectively remove these particular compounds. So these products which we use, inside them, there are ingredients, I can call them ingredients, which are called the quaternary ammonium surfactants. From the simulation studies which I've conducted, it tells me that if these go through the wastewater treatment plants and they escape and they go into our surface waters, for this case, this is Lake Mead, they eventually end up into SNWA, which is our main water treatment plant that serves the whole of this region with water. So it go down there, and the water disinfection methods which we are using, there's a possibility that could break down these particular compounds or these ingredients inside our products, and then if they react with other disinfectants like chlorine, there's a possibility that they could be forming a toxic substance that can refer to as disinfection byproducts. In my research, I conducted simulation studies whereby I performed formation potential to understand the potentiality of the formation of these particular toxic substances, the disinfection byproducts. And in the picture here, from the simulation studies I've performed, I was able to identify that there are some number of disinfection byproducts that could be formed. I just pulled out a few of them. So in my next slide, I should pose a question to everyone. Why should someone be bothered with these disinfection byproducts? From the research and the studies which have been done, it shows that these disinfection byproducts, if you inhale them, there's a possibility that you could have lung cancer. If you drink them through water, there's a possibility that you could have thyroid cancer, or you can even have cancers in your tumor. You can even have cancers in your kidneys and then elsewhere in your body. So taking action from this, it is not about sitting down and we watch or we continue as to use these products, but we should also be caring where these products end up to. So in this case, let's all work together, take action about these products which are being formed. And from this, I intend to extend this study from these simulation studies which are performed to the real world. And with this, if we can save the little water which we have, and we have it not contaminated with these products, then we can be able to have a beer with our friends, we can have coffee with our friends, and then we can also take water without fearing that it's contaminated. I want to thank people who are coming from my lab group, which is Dr. Mati's lab group. And I want to thank my professor, Dr. Erika Mati, who is, again, my advisor. Then I want to thank the Graduate College, the GPSA for the funding they have provided, and everyone here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gabson. Finally, we have Karen Tidwell, who is graduating this semester, which I have ambivalent feelings about. I'm so excited she's graduating, and I'm so sad that we won't see her as often. She is graduating with her Doctor of Public Policy. Yep, now we can clap. Now that I've shared that we'll miss her so much. Throughout her time at UNLV, Karen has been highly involved with the graduate college programs as a participant, as well as a researcher, mentor, and one of our Grad Rebel ambassadors. Her presentation today is entitled Rethinking Student Mobility, Educational Policy Development Recommendations Based on How Highly Mobile Students Move. Okay, please join me in welcoming Karen to the stage.
So I love patterns. I mean, I really love patterns. And as anybody who has ever seen my office can attest, I love patterns like this. And I love patterns like this. And I love patterns like this. And I really think the reason that I love patterns so much is they help me organize information and see relationships among things that I think I might otherwise miss. And it was my relationship with this particular pattern as a military spouse that led to my doctoral work here at UNLV. I've been looking at ways to reduce the negative impacts of frequently changing schools on our military kids' education, particularly at the elementary school level. Long before I had my own kids, I would see this same pattern among our military families, where they would move and their kids would change schools. And in addition to these really profound social and emotional challenges that these kids would experience, having to say goodbye to friends and make new friends and learn new rules in schools and communities, there was also a really specific academic outcome that came along too. And these kids tended to form learning gaps. Now, the best way I can think to explain a learning gap is literally like this blank screen. It's the absence of information. A kid is expected to know something, and they just don't. And sometimes those gaps are the result of the fact that the kid missed instruction as they were moving. And other times it's the result of the fact that states differ, not only in what they teach, but when and how they teach it. And so my work was really focusing on what resources can we bring to help these highly mobile military students. But an interesting thing happened on the way to graduation, which was, as I'm completely immersed with this student group, I start to see these other student groups who have a lot in common with our military kids. And in fact, our highly mobile military students are actually a part of this broader class of students that we would simply call highly mobile students. And all of the kids that follow into this category move a lot. And they change schools a lot. And in addition to these really problematic social and emotional challenges, they also are at this same increased risk for developing learning gaps. The pattern was the same over and over again. What you see up on your screen is what education is supposed to look like, and what it does look like for a kid who isn't moving and changing schools. I'm going to test you. I'm going to take it away. I'm going to put it back up on the screen. The color of the missing pieces, shout it out if you know it. Yeah, it's yellow. Because if you recognize this pattern and you're following it, you know right away what's missing. But what happens when this student arrives in a classroom? This is what a highly mobile student's education actually looks like. And when you put the two together and compare them, you see in that bottom row things like repetition, a different order, things that look really similar to that top line, but upon closer inspection, you see they're different. And of course, there are pieces missing altogether. So who are these kids? Who are these highly mobile students? Absolutely, it's our military kids. But these are also the children of our agricultural workers and refugees, children who are experiencing homelessness, our foster youth, and children who are living with a relative who isn't their parent. We call that kinship care. As you hear these students groups, they're really diverse, and at times they have really different needs. And yet, that same academic pattern ran throughout all of them. Now, traditionally, education policy is written very narrowly. It often only helps one of these student groups at a time, and usually only in a really specific way. The advantage of that is that we target help. The disadvantage is, inevitably, we leave kids out who desperately need the same assistance. So we began looking at, is there a way we can think about these students differently? Can we recategorize them in a different way? And I began creating recommendations for state departments of education and local school districts that begin with, number one, we've got to know who all those types of highly mobile students are who are in your schools. And once we know that, now we need to understand how these kids are moving or their type of mobility. Are they moving within the same community? Or are they moving between cities? And once we're clear about that, now we can start adopting portfolios of policy that really target those types of mobility. When we do it this way, we end up helping more kids. Now, we know that there are some really negative patterns that come into play if we don't act. Learning gaps are pesky, they are persistent, and they have a tendency to compound if they're not addressed. They can make it difficult for a kid to advance to the next grade, and even for older students to graduate from high school. But there are some positive patterns that take effect if we can get these kids the help they need. Because we know that students who stay in school and have improved outcomes have an increased likelihood of graduating from high school. And students who graduate from high school have an increased likelihood of pursuing higher education or skilled trades. And those happen to be a couple of things that tend to lead to things like increased access to stable employment opportunities. And once we start seeing those increases, it gets really exciting really quickly. Because now we start seeing things like increased access to stable housing and increased consistent access to things like food and healthcare. But we also have another positive pattern at work. Because we know if we help that student, we improve their outcomes into adulthood. But they aren't the only ones who benefit. We actually improve the outcomes of the generations that follow them, and we can have some influence on their peer generations and those who are older than them. We're now helping entire families. And when we help enough families in that way, that's when we start seeing improved outcomes in our neighborhoods, in our communities, our cities, our states, our countries, and yeah, even in the world. That's not a leap. That's the power of education. It starts with helping individuals and literally sets into motion series of changes that have the power to change the world. I am a gal who loves patterns, and that's a pattern that I can support. There were literally hundreds of people who helped me with this research, and I just want to specifically call out our military families and the former highly mobile students over the years who shared their stories with me. I have an exceptional advisor who I'd like to thank, Dr. Michael Bruner. I have an exceptional cohort 4, the DPP. They're here. And I also would like to thank our exceptional grad college team, from our graduate assistants all the way up through our administration, specifically Alyssa Gardner and Jessica Soria and Dean Crittenden for their help preparing for today. And last but by no means least, there is a very special military family that I would like to thank. That is my family. We call ourselves Team Tidge. It is my spouse and 3 pretty exceptional, highly mobile military students who not only were so supportive, but were a daily reminder of why this work matters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you so much to our presenters. Let's give them all one more round of applause. Thank you for the work you're doing, and thank you for sharing it with us today. We are heartened and inspired by your passion and your dedication, and it is wonderful that you were able to kick off this event by sharing your work with us. We are going to move on now to our Medallion Awards. So get ready, Medallion Award recipients. All right, I see everybody scooching to the edge of their chairs. That's good. All right. The Graduate College Distinguished Service Medallion represents a prestigious award conferred by the Graduate College to alumni or community members. It's bestowed on individuals who have performed above and beyond the call of duty in service to the Graduate College. I'm looking for one person. Okay, hopefully he's here. I don't see him in the audience, but I'm hoping he's here. All right. This year, we are recognizing 2 outstanding members of the Grad Rebel family. I'll call them up in turn. The first, and I hope he's here because I cannot see him, Dr. James Navalta. Are you in the room? James Navalta, are you in the house? Not yet. All right, we'll come back to James. Hopefully he'll make his way in. I would like to start with our community recipient for the Grad Medallion. It is my pleasure to award this award to Louise Marzullo. Louise has over 25 years of experience in finance and management, acquired in multicultural professional environments in the US, South America, and across Europe. He started his career as a CPA for PricewaterhouseCoopers in 1989, followed by a career as controller and CFO for organizations including McDonald's, Tyco, and First Student. His current position is as Vice President and Board Member of International Cultural Exchange Services, or ICES, a nonprofit organization designated by the Department of State that works to bring high school exchange students from over 40 different countries to study here in the US. He holds a master's degree in accounting from UNLV, complementing his previous education with BAs in economics and in accounting and an MBA, all from the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil. Louise is a member of the Dean's Leadership Council at the Graduate College, and he has worked to support several students with internships at his organization over the last 3 years. And I can tell you from personal experience, he is a strong advocate of professional development for our graduate and professional students. He has a special place in his heart for our master's students, and particularly those in accounting. And he is a great friend to the UNLV Rebel community. So please join me in welcoming Louise to the stage to receive his medallion. Okay, Dr. James Navalta, are you here? All right, we're going to come back to James at a later date. He was here last night. I know he's coming. His postdoc is in the room, so I know he's in the building. The Graduate College Medallion, we're going to now move on to the Student Award recipients. The Graduate College Medallion is given to students who have been exceptionally involved during their time as graduate students at UNLV. Medallions are awarded in the semester that students are graduating so that they may wear them at graduation. We're excited to honor the medallion recipients who were able to join us at today's event. As your name is called, please make your way up to the stage. Ooh, the first one is a real emotional one for me. Carly Barnum, please make your way to the stage. And then hang out up here, Carly, because we're going to take a group picture at the end. Carly's also one of our grad college GAs, and she's graduating. Karen Tidgwell, please come back to the stage. Anthony King, please make your way to the stage. Teresha Konak, I saw you. Yeah, there you are. Jennifer Fletcher, please make your way to the stage. Joy Hill, please make your way. There she is. Esther Pla Cazares, please make your way to the stage. Margot Tilo, please make your way to the stage. Evelyn Thompson Hilbert. Shangjia Zhang, please make your way. There he is. This one is also an emotional one. Cecilia Turman, please make your way. And last but absolutely not least, we have Kendra McLaughlin. All right, I think we're going to take a group photo. Alyssa Gardner, will you please come back up for the group photo? We can flank this amazing group of students. Oh yeah, put your medallions on. Thank you, Teresa. Good idea. I mean, you have them. Why not rock them? All right, one more round of applause. Thank you. All right, surprisingly, shockingly, and I don't know how we did this, we're on time. So okay, all right, that's thrilling in these spaces. So I'm going to give a little housekeeping on sort of where we go from here. So most folks are already here. We have a lot of judges already lined up. I see all of our presenters are ready to go, fueled by coffee and croissants and bacon. So I feel like you're powered, ready to go into your sessions. So we are going to transition now to our presentation sessions. And I think that if you have not registered, if you are still needing something as a judge, please see the table out front. Otherwise, we are going to relinquish this space for the moment, where our poster presentations are happening in the back of the room. And we will come back together around 12:25 approximately. The student presentation sessions will end and judging will conclude. And roughly 12:30, let's see, Jen Chandler, are you in the room? All right, we're gonna celebrate Jen when she comes back in. One of our alumna who, if you were here this morning having breakfast, you were invited to listen to the stylings of Jen Chandler. So she will come back and she will perform for us at 12:30 while we are having our lunch. And around 12:50, the awards ceremony from the GPSA, so from the Graduate and Professional Student Association, from the student body, will begin. And at that point, I'll welcome everyone back. So for the next few hours, it is time to get your research and creative activity on. And I will see you back here for lunch. Thanks, everyone.